Arturia FX Collection is a bundle of 26 different plugins. It's priced at $3.99 when not on sale, and each effect individually costs $99. So of course the question is it worth it? Let's find out. Most of the plugins here are analog emulations, but we have also modern effects. Not only that, they are easy to use, they have a nice UI, and they sound excellent. But of course this is subjective, so to define if one effect is good, we need to start testing. So let's start with the filters. My first thought was, do we really need that many filters? But after using them a lot, today I kinda think the same. I'm not a big fan of this, but I understand that each filter will have different shapes and different flavors in terms of color and saturation. Not only that, each filter will have added modulation options, so you can add movement to your sound. We have the Moog with a nice sequencer. We also have the Overheim Sem, and the Matrix. They sound pretty good, and as you heard, they also have that characteristic color of each one. Next up we have the modulators. One of them is an emulation of the Roland Dimension D. And by the way, this is my go-to for vocals to make them thicker.
I need a reason why you're always on my mind.
Then we have the flanger BL20 with a nice function generator for the movement of the flanger. And finally, one of the most classic chorus that exists, the chorus from the Juno 60. This one is one of my favorite emulations, but you can get a better one for free. On compressors we have classics. For example, this emulation of the Neve 33609. It smashes the drums and is great for parallel processing, and the way I use this plugin all the time is on my mix bus, especially because it can listen the left and the right side independently. Then you got a nice emulation of the 1176. Let's hear how it smashed the signal. The attack is really snappy and it can get rid of all the transients if you go fast. It also receives sidechain signals, and you also have an equalizer for the detection circuit. Next up is the STA, which is an emulation of the rare STA level, a tube compressor similar to the VariMute technology. And finally, we have the Comp VCA 65, which is an emulation of the DBX 165, the better version of the 160. This one is the extremer one. Now let's check the distortions. We have only two, but I'm counting three. The Distub Culture is an emulation of the widely used Volter Culture, and it sounds amazing. It's my go-to for drums. It adds air, character and body to the drums. Then we got the Disto amp, which it seems it's replicating the famous Sam's amp, and it has a lot of options to destroy your sound. And finally we have the tape Mellow-Fi, which is an emulation of the tape circuit of the Mellotron. On EQs and Pre, I'm going to go faster, and I'm going to start with a classic. We have an emulation of the Neve 1973 with all the color and curves from the equalizer. Then we got an emulation of the rare Trident. It's nice to see an emulation of this one because it has a really nice flavor, and I think one of the only other emulations is the one from Universal Audio. Then the Pre B76, an emulation of one of the most classics EQ from the 60s, the Telefunken. And then we got the EQ Citral 295, modeled after the Siemens Citral console EQ. This one has a toggle option for the visualizer, and the step controls goes in multiplies of 3. You can hear it adds also some saturation, and if you want, you can take off the stepped controls so you can do more fine-tuning. Finally, they have an all-in-one kind of bus processor, which has an equalizer, a filter, a compressor, and a saturation stage. You can change the routing and the path of each signal. And to tell you the truth, I'm not a fan of the all-in-one type of plugins, but let's listen how it sounds. It's pretty fun that you can go to negative ratios. Now let's go to the delays. We have the delay brigade, which is emulating a bucket brigade device. As you can hear, it has its own flavor. It has an input equalizer to change the tone, an envelope follower so you can modulate any parameter, and finally an LFO. Then we have the delay eternity, which is a unique modern delay with different lines that you can make go on series, each one independent, pan them to left and right, ping pong, single, whatever you want. And at the end you have an emulation of the Roland Space Echo, which is a tape delay. It's a pretty straightforward emulation, it has the reverb option too, and the classic flavor of this classic machine. Let's listen. Finally, let's go to the reverbs. We have an emulation of the EMT 140, which is a plate reverb that sounds really nice, it's dark and lush, and you have 3 models to choose. Then we have the spring reverb, and you can change the timbre with this tank right here. And finally, we have the reverb intensity, which is a modern reverb by Arturia. It has a lot of options for modulations, an advanced function, an envelope follower, a pre-filter and a post-filter, and a lot of different options to shape the sound of the reverb and go experimental. Now finally, let's go to FX fragments. As you can see, this one is the most different one from the others, because this is one of the newer effects, and it's a granular engine. It has nice visualizers and it sounds pretty nice. You can change many parameters, the way you capture the grains, and you can add effects like delay, chorus, distortion, compressor, and so on and so on. Not only that, you have macros, 3 functions, a sequencer and an envelope follower, so you get more of an experimental kind of granular. So, what's my verdict? First of all, I don't think that you need to buy each of the effects individually, as there are plenty of other options out there. Now, for example, the FX fragments, it's really good, and I quite like the reverb intensity. And the Distub Culture or the Trident are difficult to find on another brand. But there are other options, like for example the Tal Chorus or other Dimension D emulations. We have a lot of 1176 out there, and so on and so on. But as a bundle, I think it's pretty valuable. As I said, it's really versatile because you can use them for sound design or for production and mixing. So I think it's worth it, and my advice is that you wait for a sale, because sometimes you can get it for $100 off or even half price. So that's it for this video. If you find it helpful, subscribe to the channel and give it a like, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.